Ukrainian forces have made substantial gains around Lyman, this is northeastern Ukraine, and also in the region of Kherson, this is the south of Ukraine, in the past 24 hours, according to the Institute for the Study of War. And now Russia no longer has full control of any of the 4 regions of Ukraine it says it annexed last week. Let's take a look at the map here. After regaining the key eastern Ukrainian city of Lyman over the weekend, Ukrainian forces are continuing their counteroffensive here in the region and pushing into the Luhansk region. Geolocated footage corroborates Russian claims that Ukrainian troops are continuing push east of Lyman and may have broken through the Luhansk region border in the direction of Kreminna and Svatove, these 2 settlements right here. The Institute for the Study of War has previously reported the Russian groupings in the northern Kherson region and on the Lyman front were largely comprised of units that had been regarded as among Russia's premier conventional fighting forces before the war. In the south of Ukraine, Ukrainian forces appear to have achieved their biggest breakthrough in the region since the war started, bursting through the front line and advancing rapidly in northwestern and also northeastern Kherson region and also along the Dnipro River. The Russian military acknowledged that Kyiv's forces had broken through in the Kherson region. Russian officials acknowledged that the Kremlin is still determining which areas of occupied Ukraine it has, quote, annexed, although the upper house of the Russian parliament unanimously ratified legislation to annex Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia and Kherson regions.
Ukrainian troops have retaken more territory in areas illegally annexed by Russia. In the south, forces are advancing near the city of Kherson, and in the east, troops are consolidating their gains. And it means that not a single area of the country annexed after sham referendums are fully controlled by Russia. Well, with me here on set is our correspondent, Sasha Vakalina. Sasha, of course, the details and the progress of Ukraine's counteroffensives have been closely guarded. But what are we now learning?
Well, that's it. While we do hear from Ukrainian officials, of course, all the calls to respect the operational silence and not to report on any advances and any progress there on 2 parallel counteroffensive. We do get lots of information from some of the people on the ground with the links there. But also, interestingly, now with what's been happening in the region of Kherson and also around Lyman towards the Luhansk region, is that we have been hearing a lot from Russian military bloggers about the developments there and the moves. And we have been hearing specifically when they are calling for reinforcement. And this is, I would say, this is probably the first time we're hearing and getting that much information from Russian military bloggers and Russian war correspondents who are there on the ground and who do have access to that information about how exactly that counteroffensive is going.
And what about people who are now living in areas which have been illegally annexed by Russia? I mean, I understand that they are concerned that they could be conscripted to fight for Russia.
They are concerned now. This is, of course, very complicated because of the access to those territories when it comes to some of the areas of Luhansk region, for example, or those that were previously held by the so-called breakaway Luhansk People's Republic. Access to information is different there, but some of the rather recently occupied territories, there's information by Ukrainian officials that indeed, in some cases, like in some settlements in the region of Zaporizhia, there are men who cannot leave the regions. Now, when it comes to Ukrainian officials, what they are trying to do here is Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, he asked Ukrainians in the occupied territories to hide from this mobilization by any means. There are also lots of concerns about what's been happening in Crimea that was annexed by Russia back in 2014, because the rights organizations for Crimean Tatars say that the members of this minority ethnic Muslim group have received the overwhelming majority of conscription notices there in that territory, so they're also being asked to do whatever they can to trying to avoid it. There are a few ways of doing it. One is, of course, leaving the territory, if this is possible, which might be the case still in Crimea. If that means leaving the territory forcefully into Russia, then that's the way to do it, because then from there these people can go further, or they can also use some other means like the hotline that Ukrainian authorities installed there for anybody who wants to surrender or to reach out if we are talking about Ukrainian citizens.